Welcome to a Crafting Through It Turbo tutorial. This is a short and sweet Just the Facts version of a longer tutorial from a full episode of Crafting Through It. Subscribe to our channel to see full episodes and more.
This week's craft is my miniature murder board, okay? This is the best-selling item in my Etsy shop. So, the first thing we're going to do is make the actual cork board. And we're going to start with the wood. So you see how this is angled? We're going to make just like a picture frame. So the way I do that, you can use an X-Acto knife here or utility knife. That is an easy way, but you got to make sure you get that. You can even use this line on your cutting mat if you have one. I always get questions about this tool when I show a process video online. This is what we call miter shears. It has this, and then it has all these different angles, okay, to get the exact angle that you want. So the first thing I do with the wood, now I've already got one here, but I'll show you, is I lay it across here, and I don't want to waste too much wood because I already want to get the angle because that's how I'm going to measure it. So see how easy that is? I'll cut just one more. So easy. Perfect 45-degree angle, okay? So then I'm going to make my measurement. So my murder board is 3 1/4 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches high. And you want to measure what's going to be the longest piece, longest edge. So here you'll see the longest edge. And in the end, it doesn't have to be exact other than your 2 short pieces need to be the exact same and your 2 long pieces have to be the exact same. Get it to line up, okay? And cut. Now, for the other piece, because I want them to be exact, what I do is I just line this up right here, see? And then I draw what I'm gonna cut for the next piece. So I've got this edge that I already cut, and I draw the line there to be the exact. I might be skipping ahead a little bit, but that just gives you the idea of how to cut it for you. Okay, so those are your long pieces. And your short pieces, you're gonna do the same thing. 2 1/4 inch. I make a mark, I go ahead and draw it so I know which way I'm cutting. It's already the right way, and then boom. All right, so there. And you could use this technique to make any miniature frame. Like if you want to make a miniature picture frame, miniature chalkboard, whatever, you can do this same process. Okay, so 2 1/4 on that side. Okay. And I just try to line up with where I marked as well as I can. And then I just double check to make sure that these are as close. It's a little off, but I think we'll be okay. So if you were to glue this just as is and just left it there, it might look straight to you, but the moment you pick it up, it's just gonna fall apart or it's gonna be wonky. Like it's literally gonna do this, okay? So how I do it is I have an actual tool for this, but you don't need this necessarily, but it is very helpful to make, and this is really beat up, but I want to call this a magnetic jig. Link below, guys. Link below, whatever it is. But it's magnetic and it's got corners that are right angles, and it's a really great way to get a very sturdy, firm pressure on a corner glue, and that it will come out a perfect 90-degree angle. So the glue I'm using, another thing that people always ask me about, is where did you get this glue with the tiny tip? Okay, it's precision, barely art craft glue. Guys, I love it. Okay, so I get a little dab in. I put it right there, nestle it in. Ooh, I just get glue on both ends of each. You could probably also use some other tool. Like I have these clamp thingies. This might not work for this small of wood, but I have these right angle things. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I take these magnetic pieces and then I push it up against, you can push pretty tight. You're gonna get it really tight. That's gotta dry. So I'm gonna set it aside for maybe 10 minutes. You're gonna cut a piece of cork. and I cut it just a little bit smaller, okay? A little bit smaller. I like to use this to cut the cork because it gives a nice smooth cut. Although scissors do work fine, but make sure they're sharp scissors because it'll get like crumbly if you use dull scissors. Cut it to size. And then while we're still waiting for the frame to dry, we can also cut a piece of foam. And I just cut it to the exact same size as, you can see this isn't even exactly square, but it fits okay. It doesn't have to be the exact thing. But I make it the exact, you can use the rotary cutter here too, but I'll just use regular scissors. I just use this as a guide. You don't have to get super, super precise with it. All right, so now you've got your foam backing. You've got these ready to go. We're gonna let that dry just a little bit longer and then we will get our pieces ready for the actual bulletin board. This is the exciting part. Okay, so this is gonna come with the kit. It's a little document I made that you can cut out your own pieces that are just like this one. You can do exactly like mine if you want, or you could do your own murder board with your own crime on there. So you see how I've got a little black outline? That is your guide. I actually try to cut just barely on the inside of the black outline so that it doesn't, so it looks real. Like if you see a letter, it doesn't have a little black outline on it, right? What I do is I use these two fingers to steady, and I use smaller scissors because it gives me a little bit more control. So I'm just gonna go up along the side of all these. So what you're gonna wanna do, I would say, is to have like a tray or something, a separate area that you can put your pieces in, so it just makes it easier. If you want to give things a worn look, like you'll see some of these pages are like wrinkled or torn, you could wrinkle this entire piece of paper right now and then smooth it out, and everything's already wrinkled. You don't have to do them one by one. But I don't want every single thing to be wrinkled, so I'm cutting them out as I go. The frame has dried, and I'm going to very gently pry it up with like a flat tool or my fingernail or like a, anything, because what you don't want to do is yank it like that because it's not the most stable structure even with the pressure, and you don't want to break it apart. So I just gently break it free and boom, there we go. You do glue all the way around and you take your cork and you just put it down. I put it under a book just to give it a little pressure. Just put the book there, let it sit for a minute. Okay, so we've mushed that down. While this is mushed for just a minute, pressured, I'm just gonna crinkle up some of the papers that I want crinkled up. So I'm gonna get this one and then flatten it out a little. I'm gonna fold the map because maps usually have like a fold crease in it. So I'm gonna give this a little fold, press, and then just open it back up and like kind of flatten it out. Just it has that slight little look of realism. So here's how I glue the pieces on. You might have seen me already starting it. I put the glue not on the piece, but on the corkboard where I want the piece to go. And then I pick up the piece with tweezers, and it's much easier to place than having glue on it and trying to press it down. There's glue on your fingers. It's a mess. Don't do it. All right. And this is really just however you want it. Like this is your creation. You don't have to do it the way I do it. But one thing I recommend to give it that realism is let the pieces, don't glue everything totally flat because that's not how bulletin boards look. You can see little shadows behind everything. All right, let's see, keep gluing. Spread them out. So now these teeny tiny guys, what I do is I put a dab of glue everywhere where I want one of these little notes. And there's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, tweezers really come in handy with these. Now I'm only going to glue, there's a reason, again, you don't want it to be super flat. Bend up the right edge a little, and it will look more like a little Post-it note. Trick that I do is I'm going to add 2 Post-it notes that I'm going to make from the life-size version of those. I'm going to make a regular square Post-it note. It's hard to write on a loose little piece of paper, so what I do is I actually write what I want to write on it before I cut it. Okay, now I'm just going to cut as square as I can and as little as I can to make it look the right scale. Now it's probably a little bit bigger than what a real Post-it note in this scale would be, because it's just hard to write that small. Okay, so same thing, dot wherever you want it. Again, you just glue the top of the Post-it note, because that's where the adhesive is. Hold it down, come in and lift it up, bend it a little so it looks like a real Post-it note that always sticks out at the bottom. Now, to make tiny thumbtacks, here's what I figured out. So this involves a lot of sharp, pointy things being pushed through a thing and maybe potentially into your fingers. So let's just be careful, okay? These are dressmaker pens. You can buy them in any craft store. So you put in where you want it and just push gently, 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 and push it about halfway through, okay? And keep going for all the places that you want to have a push pin. Then, to do the red string, you make sure you don't push them all the way in. Leave them up like that. And then you're going to take some red string. This is embroidery floss that I take out one strand of. And you want to take a needle. I would use a thin one. Thread the needle. So what you're going to do is, it's like sewing a little bit for the first step especially. You're going to go to the back and push through right next to one of the pins where you want to start. And you got to, have the right kind of, just the right pressure to get through both the cork and the paper. Pull through. Don't go all the way. And then you're going to wrap it around the shaft of the pin 3 times. Okay? Hold it taut and then push the pin all the way down. See? Okay, now you're gonna go to the next one. Now I'm kind of using my fingers back here to control the angle of the pin. That's sort of an advanced technique that I just learned from experimentation, but you'll figure it out because it can come loose really quickly and it might frustrate you, but just keep working at it, you'll get it. Push it down once I've wrapped 3 times, and then I just kind of go all over. Now it can get tricky, but I kind of got into a groove with it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then gently stick it back through, and this time just pull it. Okay, now some of the pins might have popped up a little, so just push them down. Okay, so now I want to make sure this string doesn't come loose. So what I'm going to do is reinforce it with a little bit of glue. Okay, the tiniest amount, and it's okay if you can see it now. We're going to do something real quick, but plus it will dry clear. So then I just take my nail and I like sort of wipe it so that it's not too shiny when it dries. So now we need to get rid of all this, right? You need to get rid of your needle garden, your needle forest, pin forest, whatever we're gonna call it. So what I do is I get some wire cutters. This can be very bad if you don't do it correctly, okay? You literally could have a very sharp object flying through the room to your eye, to someone, to the floor where you can't find it. So please, please, please be careful when you do this. There's multiple ways you can be careful. What I do is, so first of all, let's just say what you're gonna do. You're gonna take these, see how there's a flat edge. You're gonna push that, not push, but you're just gonna lay it against the cork so it's flat. And then you could hold the pin, squeeze, and it cuts, okay? And then make sure you put those somewhere that you don't lose it, because you do not want to step on those. You can also kind of cover it with your hand, although it could fly and actually hit you. I mean, it's not like bullet speed, but it's not pleasant. So I usually hold the pin, and that keeps it from flying. So now, those little tacks now, the thumbtacks, they're gonna stay in there, but I like to reinforce it just so they don't pop out. And you could use regular glue here, but it's metal, and so I bring out the big stuff. This is E6000. So it just sort of gives it some extra hold so those little tacks don't come out. I've never had them come out, but you can never be too safe with, something that you want to keep and not have it fall apart on you. Okay, so if you're gonna make this a hanging ornament, you're gonna add a little extra glue for the top here and just give it a little extra right here. You've gone all the way around with a square. Now, Now the piece of foam comes in, but first, if you're gonna make it an ornament, you're gonna take a little bit of string, your string of choice, cut about 3 inches or so, and then just rub it a little, get it on both sides. And then we've already pre-cut our foam, and so then you just take this off, peel it off, and place. What I do is I apply some pressure with a clip of some kind, and I just place it there, and I let it dry for 15 minutes or so, just to get that hold. And then I'm done. And then you have this. It's so cute. I love it. I really hope you guys make this and make your own, you customize it, and please send me pictures. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Crafting Through It.